What's the maximum amount of rest you would recommend?
It's not just
You're asking the wrong person here. Well, I mean, yeah, you want to be able to, you want to maximise your rest. You do want to maximise your rest. At the same time, you want to maximise your miles, which is, you know, contrary. So you've got to find the balance. You've got to train as much as you can without your body breaking down, which means you're going to have to find what that rest is for yourself that you need. Okay, and it's different for everybody. You know, Greg has adapted his body so he can run every day.
I only run 6 days a week.
Oh, there you go. Even Greg has a rest day.
Complete no running day.
There you go. So even the high mileage people will have a rest day. John and I, if we tried to run every day, we wouldn't last a couple of weeks. Okay, and so you've got to make that decision. Okay. But you can still start off at a certain point and you say, right, in a year I want to be able to train twice a day. You know, exaggerating, and you've got to try and build that up slowly. Okay, which we'll talk about later. So here's sort of a visual picture of why you need to rest and adapting. So we do some training, a hard run, and our fitness level has dropped. We've damaged our body. We've literally damaged our body. We've ripped muscles. We've hurt capillaries. In the rest, our body adapts. It builds. It puts on bone. It builds mitochondria. It builds capillaries. It puts muscle fibre on. So we're actually slightly stronger now. We then do another hard session and then recover. Getting stronger now, you can see the tendency. But do a couple of hard sessions back to back, you can't recover. Or we're not adapting. We're just, we're in a decline, in a vicious circle of continuing training, not adapting, not getting our fitness back up, and the potential is you overtrain and you get injured. Yeah. Who's injured at the moment? You said you were. Yeah. Okay, so that's why it's key. It's so easy to injure yourself with marathon training. Okay, so then you take those pieces and you put them together into a schedule.
We'll test for this later.
Yeah.
This looks like the chemical system. What
This
is it called?
the periodic table.
Yes, exactly.
So this is what I did in the first year. Okay, blue was what I was meant to do. Well, I was meant to do all of it. The red is what I didn't end up doing. And you can see it's quite a lot. So don't worry. You don't worry if you even have to take a week off here or there. That's fine.
This time of year, I plan to lose a week to flu or COVID or injuries. Just accept it's going to happen.
Purple
Don't
here
get stressed.
is flu. So a week of flu there, week of flu, 3 weeks before a marathon. Who's going to Lanzarote? No, okay. Well, if you were, that's what can happen after if you do too much at Lanzarote. So,
Yeah, that's the thing.
key runs. Key runs. I did tempo run on Wednesdays, hills on Saturday, long run Sunday. I did plan to do some intervals, some track sessions on Tuesday. I just couldn't sustain it without getting injured, or without getting ill. So I had recovery swims on Monday and Thursday, which I found really good. So there's a track session. After that, I had flu. So from that point on, I didn't do that track session. So you've got to make a plan and adapt it to how you're feeling at the time. Okay. Don't just keep doing the same thing.
But like if you say like adapt it, for example, you plan something out a couple of weeks ahead, and then like all of a sudden you have flu, and then like, oh my god, hey, I have to do this 16 miler, and then you maybe not back to strength. What to do?
Yeah, don't try and catch up. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Well, I just maybe want to hear.
If something's happened, if you've had a week off, if you've got flu, the most important thing is to recover, and then get back into the training. Adapt the training to learn from what had happened, but get back into that schedule. Don't try and catch up with what you missed. If you try and catch up, that is a sure recipe of this vicious cycle again, of going down, down, down. Okay, you get injured again, you won't recover from the flu. And as we say, don't worry if you've got a week of flu. It's good rest.
So would you say to factor in 1 or 2 weeks as being a bit of injuries?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if you lose it and then rebalance your whole sort of schedule to take account of the fact that you haven't gone forward in that week. You may have slipped back a bit, so if you were doing, a an hour and a half long run, and you thought, well, on the schedule I've been up to an hour and 3/4, so no, go back to an hour and a half, even an hour 10, and just be sensible about it and recognise your programme has had this slight interruption, and if you're lucky it doesn't happen, but it most likely will happen, frankly. And it may not be flu, it may be other things, it might be family or business or things. These are just get in the way of executing.
Yeah, or an injury. Okay. And as you can see, this line here got 3 intensities. So what percentage was low intensity, what percentage was medium, what percentage was high. You can see most of it was low intensity, between 60 and 70% was low intensity. And in terms of total miles per week, I peaked at 53 miles per week of that week, which is low, but the important thing is it was twice the distance, okay? As a beginner, you should be trying to aim somewhere between twice and 3 times the distance per week. So that's 52 to 78 miles per week. If you're somewhere in that ballpark, then that's good going. I mean, you'll never do it's the first marathon, and it takes 7 years to adapt. So don't try and do your PB, your lifetime PB in your first one. Give yourself something to.
I'll just experience. My experience is that I don't think I've ever done 53 miles a week in training. Just to put that in a bit of perspective, I have done during the week, but that's ended up in a marathon, which actually ran quite well because it happened. That's another story. It does depend on what you're aiming to do, on how many miles you need to do to get there. If you want to be certainly in the 3 hours and less bracket, you need to be upping your mileage. I'd say if you want to be in the 4 hours and less bracket, you might well need to get to 50 miles. 50 miles would be about what you're looking to do. There, 40 or 50 miles probably.
What would a 3-hour runner be looking to do in terms of total mileage?
I'm not a 3-hour runner, so...
It depends how good you are. It depends how good you are. I mean, if you've got natural ability, you can get away with low amounts and what you can cope with. If you are a runner who doesn't have natural, style or whatever, and you have to work at it, you might have to be doing 70, 80, 90 miles. It's very personal. Okay, notice the taper. I came down from a relatively high mileage down to low mileage over a period of 3 weeks, and we'll be talking about that later. That's key. This is what I'm doing now. So I've slightly changed it. I realised that I can't do Tuesday track and a Wednesday tempo run because they're 2 quite hard sessions. So I'm doing a 2-week cycle where I'm doing some sort of stretching, rest work Mondays, speed work Tuesday, threshold on Thursday, hills and long run Saturday, Sunday. And on the next week of the cycle, I'm doing a tempo run. So sort of 13 miles at sort of marathon pace. I'm not doing these sort of speed and threshold sessions on that week. And that's my 14-day cycle. And I'm doing that because I've learned that I'm getting a bit older, I can't do 2 back-to-back sessions anymore, okay? You might find you can, okay? But the point is, your schedule has got to be about you, and you've got to learn what you can and can't do. What's wrong with this schedule? Just to say, sometimes you might be racing on a Sunday, or cross-country on a Saturday, but you still do a lot. What's wrong with this schedule?
You might not be able to factor a rest day in between when you really need it.
Where are you thinking?
Possibly at a weekend.
Exactly.
For instance, like you
Exactly.
did
So
last weekend.
my big, or again, sort of 8-day weeks would be fantastic. We race on Saturdays. The club races on Saturdays usually, cross country, etc. And then most of us, the only time we can do a long run is Sundays. The thought of doing a long run for me on a weekday is just too much to bear. Okay, so I've never tried it. Maybe I should. But it means you're back-to-backing. I mean, you've got a race, and then you're trying to do 15, 20, 22 miles. Not ideal. I haven't found a solution to that yet. And you've got to think about how you get around that problem. Maybe you don't race on Saturday, maybe you can have a rest day on Saturday. Doing hills before a race. I obviously won't be doing my hill before that race. That'd be part of my little mini taper before Tunbridge Wells.
But on the other hand, you could say, like, even if you do the Met League race on a Saturday, which is a good, hard aerobic power kind of workout, it's quite a good quality session, and and then obviously you're not fully recovered on the next day, and maybe you after the pub and maybe a little sleep, So then it's quite a good simulation of the marathon race as well, because maybe your battery or like your energy stores are not fully charged up. Since it almost like simulates maybe then the last 15 miles of a marathon.
That's sort of what previously that is one way of looking at it, and that's what I do view it as well. So Saturday I had a race, and yesterday I tried to do 18 and I only did 14, and I probably should have. What I got wrong was I probably should have done that 18 slower, and I tried to do it as a quality long run. I should have done it as a slightly more relaxed longer run.
Like, I think it's still key what you initially said about the long run is all about the key thing is about the fat burning. It's not necessarily you overreach beyond that intensity, because then you're already in a different workout again.
Exactly. So what Urban's saying is you want to be staying in the zone where you're burning, adapting to fat burning, and we'll see why later for the. So your long runs is another reason why your long runs doesn't need to be that fast or that intense, because you want to be at a zone where you're learning to burn fat.
I'll just back Andy up on the Tuesday Wednesday thing as well. I was once off work sick for a month after doing a very hard Tuesday session and a stupidly hard Wednesday run, and didn't cope with it at all. Got ill and was off work for a month. It's very easy on a Wednesday on this club to go off too fast, go off quicker than you think you go in, quicker than people say they're going to go. Just be very, very wary of that. In an ideal world, I don't think we have the club runs on a Wednesday. I think is the answer, but we do. So just be a bit careful about doing those together. Okay, building up the miles safely. This is a very quick slide. We've got some stuff on it. Yeah, come on to Greg then as well. 10% principle. If you start off, say you're working 20 miles a week, you shouldn't be going up by more than 10% of your previous weekly mileage to the next week. So if it's 20 miles one week, 10% 2 miles, which means you then go up to 22 miles a week after, and you're looking probably 25 miles the week after that. The thing is, you don't want to be doing that increasingly all the time. It's very similar to the rest of adaptation. At some point, probably the 4th week, you probably want to be dropping your mileage back down a bit so you give your body a chance to recover. So you should be planning that into your training as well. As Andy said, we've all had easy weeks in the past. I'm generally on the 4th week, probably certainly not do a long run. Maybe miss a session that I'd normally do in the week just to try and recover again. The second thing about building up the miles is how you should build up the miles. It's not just about the number of miles you do, it's which miles you're doing. The ones to concentrate on are the long runs. You should be concentrating on building the mileage in your long runs first, and then the more intense stuff comes in later. Okay, so that's how you should be thinking about building it up. And as we said before, just to reinforce the message, things will go wrong. Especially if you're planning a marathon, you're looking at probably a 20-week cycle at least. In an ideal world, you'd be looking at a lot longer than that, but it's 20 weeks. Something is going to go wrong in 20 weeks. Think about how long of your life that is. Nothing ever goes smoothly for that long. You get ill, family will have an illness or something, or you need to go away for business or whatever. You need to be prepared just to go, okay, I can't do it this day, it's too much for me. And if that happens, don't worry about it. Everyone writes a schedule down in the diary. I've written it myself before. I've never followed it once. Things have always changed. I've probably never followed it at all. But have a plan, try and stick to it. If it goes wrong, be prepared to adapt.